moving on from Made in Abyss. I put this on the show notes. This may be very short, depending on like how we feel on it, even though we've kind of covered it. But the next thing on the show notes is Goblin Slayer and its controversial scene in the first episode. I've kind of touched upon Goblin Slayer, but I haven't touched upon that scene in particularly, and I'll kind of let Kay talk about it until I, give my 2 cents. But I'll give you the floor real quick. Oh, sorry, did I cut out again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying that this is the part where we'll talk about Goblin Slayer in that one scene, and I was gonna let you touch upon it before I give my 2 cents.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's a serious topic. Like, I'm not gonna deny it and be like, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal," because it is. Like, rape is not good. It's not good to show it in a kind light. At the same time, they didn't try to fetishize it or make it look like it was a good thing that was happening. And like, just because you're watching the show doesn't mean you actually support it, which I feel like that's one of the biggest like pointers that the like anti-Goblin Slayer people kind of point out, which makes no sense. Like, I may watch Uza, I'm not gonna go around and say, okay, yeah, it's fine to go molest little kids.
Right.
And I just think the controversy was way overblown on both sides. The people who liked it and were like way too antagonizing to the people who didn't like it. Like, people were like, oh, well, yeah, that rape scene wasn't for me. I don't think I'll continue. Well, you're a fucking pussy. You can't handle a little bit of rape. It wasn't even shown that much, you little baby. Like, you shouldn't be watching the show to begin with, you little snowflake. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of made both sides just looked absolutely, like, ridiculous and idiotic.
Immature.
Yes, immature is the word.
Because, I think you wanted to speak more on it.
No, you can continue.
Okay, because when I saw it the first time, I was like, yeah, I could have probably gone without that. It's kind of like that SpongeBob scene where SpongeBob's blowing bubbles, and he was like, and Squidward's like, I didn't need to see that. Like, I could have kind of honestly gone without that scene. But
right.
the more the anime got talked about, and because I'm honestly, I fell in one of those categories where the more the anime got talked about, I was like, just stop being a bitch. Like, it clearly gives a disclaimer, this and that. And I honestly fell in that category, and I did because, like, so many people were bashing on it, not only from that incident alone, but from the fact that, like, they were being influenced by so many other YouTubers that, oh, it's bad, it's terrible, that they couldn't really form their own opinion. So I really I fell into, like, the hate part, or it's just like, if you can't handle it, just don't watch it, which is bad on my part, but like I said, I'd fallen into that trend as well.
Right, and like, I get it from your perspective too, because like, I've been on the receiving end of hate from people who don't like SAO, and it's really annoying to see it all the time and see the same pointers that people point out in those freaking YouTube videos that they can't form their own opinion. But in this case, it's a completely different scenario where it's like, they added the warning for a reason, but people were like, wow, people are that sensitive, they need the warning. It's like, yeah, people need the warning because there are such a thing as real triggers, and people don't really want to associate like horrible things that have happened to them with, stuff that's going on in anime. If they'd rather not see it, then it's better to have a warning there.
Right. Because, I was gonna say, like, I see this issue happen in anime a lot, and like, either way, if it's shown, it's not cool. If you like, I have no fault for people that that do get not only offended, but aren't comfortable with those topics, because if you're not, you're not. There's nothing wrong with that. But I've seen a lot of incidents where scenes like the rape scene that happened in the first episode, when it happens in anime, it's like a really huge deal. But like in live action films, people don't really bat an eye to it. And it's one of those incidents where it's just like, what makes this, like, why is it a bigger deal in anime than it is in live action? Because I'd be more freaked out if I saw this in person, if anything. Because, like, I can...
Right, if in a live action, like, situation, yeah, it'd be way... Like, just because it's animated doesn't make it okay, but at the same time, it's like, it's just anime.
Yeah, but like I definitely do see both sides. Like if you would, if I had had a regular conversation with a person about that scene, I would say, it is pretty messed up and definitely was uncalled for, and a lot of people, if they did have a problem with it, I do understand. But you don't really get that on the side of like YouTube or the internet. You more get the like I hate it part, or you get the people defending it so much where it just becomes awkward part instead of just an understanding between the two.
Right. And it's less about the actual content than it is just people being like throwing insults and wanting to be the bigger person.
Right.
Or like having.
Right, and I feel like the problem that I have stumbled across when it comes to people talking about the series, I stumbled across the problem that they take that scene as like that's the purpose of the show. Like that's where my problem comes across, where like they'll take that one scene and kind of not pinpoint, but like poke holes at Goblin Slayer on like why that scene leads up to the series being bad, which it doesn't. Like could have gone without it? Yeah, like just straight up, yes, it could have gone without that scene. But does that fault the series on what it tries to do afterwards? No, but you don't get people like that. You get people like Mother's Basement, like all these other YouTubers that just try to find the most controversial topic and be on the side that's most popular.
Right, and that's why I kind of like turn a blind eye to all those kind of people, because they attract the worst of the community.
Right. Because when the series that came out, that clip got uploaded really quick. Like I saw it on my Twitter. I was like, okay, I don't like this, like from Hentai Haven, I don't care. And then I saw people on Twitch talking about it. I was like, let me watch this for myself and see what it actually is about. And the episode doesn't start off that way. It's just later on as you get into it. But at that point, I was like, okay, so this series is it's not this dark, depressing thing that the clips I see on Twitter, it just ends up having to have that one scene. I may have cut out again. Sorry.
No, you're good.
But yeah, no, it is.
I don't really have much to say other than like both sides were being really stupid.
Yeah, I think we basically pretty.
I don't want to sound like Donald Trump with the whole both sides thing, but it's true. In this case, both sides were being ridiculous.
Right. We should just build a wall and just all be happy. Build
God.
Bossing Say. My man basically just wants to build Bossing Say from Avatar. No, but I do agree though. Like, I mean, it's the internet. People are gonna act ignorant, but I believe if anybody just had a face-to-face conversation about it, they could both just come to an understanding and be humans. But
right, or like just ignore it too. Like if you like the show, then fine, just keep watching.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, just stop watching it. But don't make other people feel bad for doing so.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the last thing I brought in my show notes. Well, I won't talk about it here. We'll talk about it towards the end, like at the very last topic. But Goblin Slayer becomes one of those series for me where I say it's my favorite. I get tagged into this group. It's just like, oh, you like that rape scene, don't you? Like, no, I just like the show. Like it's one of those, like it's one of those scenes where it's like if you say you like Rurouni Kenshin, you'd be like, you're tagged into like, oh, well, he was a lolicon. Like, don't put me in those same categories.
It's like, no, I don't care about that stuff. I just like this show.
Yeah, but like I said, I'll mention that at the end of the show for the last topic. But people love to like put you in categories where you're totally just not in that same mindset.
Right.
But Goblin Slayer aside, and going to a video game, which is the only one on this list, Danganronpa series.